Okay, so it's the middle of July 2023. Scape season is done, and we're now 4 to 6 weeks away from harvesting all this garlic. So the garlic's looking pretty happy here. This is the first year we've been planting it. This is an interesting shot here. Notice the garlic here is looking kind of yellow. It's almost like it's got mosaic virus. I don't know if it does or not, but this happens to be the same patch that somebody dug up the garlic at some point in the early spring, looking for potatoes, and left the garlic lying all over the ground. And I found it in early May, lying on the ground, dried up, and I put it back in the soil. So it's kind of struggled ever since. And I guess they'll be eating garlic, not going to be used for seed, that's for sure. The Egyptian walking onions are doing really well this year. They're just loving this location. They're putting out some nice big bulbules. I've been feeding them with some fetid swamp water, which they seem to be really respond to. And over here we have the bed of potato onions. This year we planted them in the spring, and they're not going to flower. They're doing much better division. Last season we planted them in the fall, and they survived the winter, but they ended up all flowering, and the bulbs were small. So something to bear in mind if you're growing potato onions. This bed here, somebody decided they wanted to do some gardening this year and planted a bunch of onion sets and didn't put any mulch down, and they're about to get a heck of a shock because of the weed pressure. And we're going into August, which is the really hot, dry part of the year. So they've got a lot of watering in their future. They've got a lot of weeding in their future. It's going to be a lesson here in how to grow in this climate. This is a row of tobacco and kabocha squash interplanted. The tobacco is going to grow up through the squash in a couple of weeks, and they'll be able to have 2 layers of productivity. The deer came in, unfortunately, and ate all the tobacco right down to the ground. So I've been applying a mixture of urine and fetid swamp water to these posts and around the plants. And since I've been doing that, there's been no trouble with deer eating the tobacco. And I personally wouldn't be eating it either. So deer are smarter than you think. This is our potato experiment. Growing potatoes in bags of leaves to avoid the potato scab virus that's in the soil here. And you can see the potatoes are starting to come up through the bags. So we're going to see how they go over the coming months as things get drier. We've have fed them with some fetid swamp water and a little bit of urine, not too much because potatoes don't need much nitrogen, but they do, there's lots of minerals in there from the breaking down leaves. And we'll see if they produce us a crop. This here is a bed of turnips that were planted in the spring to try and control the weed pressure in these new beds. And those are seeds that we actually grew and collected last year from a turnip that's 2 years old. They're a biennial, just like radish. And they're coming along nicely. We just thinned some out and had some nice tender young summer turnips. This bed here, well, these are 2 beds here. They sort of gotten away on us. Bit of a failure. These field peas and fava beans are in here, but they haven't managed to outcompete the weeds. So we won't be doing that again.